Well, hey everybody, welcome to a special edition of the MenoLounge today. I am so excited to bring on one of my most favorite humans, friends, badass midlife woman, Dr. Vonda Wright today because she wants all of us to know that we are unbreakable, not from the like we're broken place, from the real place. So I'm going to grab her. I know she's here somewhere. Hi, everybody. Stand by. It's going to be amazing. Here we go. I'm going to see if I can grab her. Hopefully she's not stuck in surgery or something. Let's see. Guys, so excited. Okay, here's my preview copy. Oh my God. There you go. I said, I hope you weren't stuck in surgery. Oh, here she goes.
I'm here. I'm cleaning my lens. Ooh, that's better.
Is that good?
How are you?
Hello, hello. Happy afternoon to you. 9 a.m. morning for me.
Oh, that's right. Bright and early. Oh, there it is.
Woo!
Now
Wow.
remember, that is a nearly unedited version, so the final one will be much better, but this one's pretty
Are you
good.
kidding? I don't even know what there is to edit. I mean, so good.
Thank you.
It's the new longevity Bible for me. Seriously.
Seriously, I love that moniker.
Like,
I love that.
it
Yeah.
really is. There are a lot out there, but this is just different. Maybe also because I know what a mighty woman you are from all
All
the
of our
places.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I'm so excited. I have to tell you before we jump in, my husband and I were driving to Aspen from Denver, and I said,
Mhm.
Dave, let's listen to Dr. Vonda on Diary of a CEO. I think we're really
Oh,
going to get something out of it. And he was like, I love her. I love the way she shares it. I can really understand, and it's not just, I don't know, I get it. I get it. And trust me, he doesn't really listen to me, Vonda. So he's a,
we should
former,
exchange coaching
right?
services.
I
I'll
know.
coach him. You coach
I
Peter.
know. I got Peter, you got Dave. These athletes, my husband was a former football player, so they just have a different idea. So I just love how approachable what you share is, but it's just so badass, to
Thank you.
quote you. All right,
Thank you.
Vonda, I know you love you, but I want to give us your background one more time so everyone knows. Don't get brief about it.
Yeah.
Give the whole thing.
I love that you're asking me that. And I need to do a better job on the internet of reintroducing myself every so often. But uh, so today, I practice as an orthopedic sports surgeon. I just got out of the operating room where I help people of all ages and skill levels um, save their mobility, because I've known through my entire career that in saving mobility, I am going to save you from the ravages of chronic disease.
Mm.
And that is the truth. Mobility, we are designed to move. But that's not where I began in medicine. I began in medicine fresh out of college with a biology degree that I don't know if anybody out there has one. I couldn't do much with it.
I tried,
Except,
but I couldn't
except
make it.
yeah, I
I'm
went
like,
back to school. Yeah. So I went back to school and I got a bachelor's degree in nursing and a master's degree in cancer nursing and spent 6 years in the bedside um, and running the Rush Cancer Institute in Chicago, where it was so long ago that we were just doing the trials for tamoxifen, which is really common right now, right? And a nausea drug called Zofran and a growth factor called GCSF, all of things which really made cancer care. Nothing is easy about cancer care, but easier. But what's pivotal in my career from even telling people I was a nurse are a few things. Number one, I'm a much better doctor because I was a nurse.
is your heart. That's, if I remember, this is why I think also Dave connected to you because he lost his mom through cancer and he felt your heart. And I know that as you speak to people, I think it's important that you keep sharing that.
Mhm.
It's why you have such a different perspective and come from such a caring place.
Thank you. I think you're right about that. It's because I was 23. It just changes your whole worldview or expands your worldview to realize more and more about the heart of people. And so then I decided after I did that to go back to school and then finally emerge. But my goal has never changed. Since I began practicing orthopedics, not only was I going to use the tools of mobility to save you from chronic disease,
Mm.
but I wanted to change the way we age in this country. And so nothing has changed about that, whether it's how I treat my patients as whole people, the research that I did at the University of Pittsburgh, or today as I care for millions of women in midlife and menopause and perimenopause, and really harness the power of mobility and mindset in the way that I have harnessed it for my athletes. I'm a sports doctor. These are all, if you're looking on the internet, these are all lanyards from events that I have covered as the doctor. I
Yeah.
mean, they
Oh,
look like I've done a lot of competitions,
which you
like
have, by the way.
10% I've been in. Most of these I've been the doctor for. So I apply those principles that keep the best of the best going to mere mortals like me. And you're not a mere
Yeah,
mortal, but
I know.
from an exercising standpoint, we're both mere mortals. Um, because there's just no room in our future for decline. There's for giving up.
Mm.
There, we will all change.
Mhm.
There is no room for giving up. You know, the as I'm talking more and more about this book that's coming out in August, I am reminded of this. Yes, Unbreakable. I have a
You
galley
have a
copy.
real one. Hold yourself.
Here it is, people.
Although
Please, we're in pre-order.
I always love my advanced copies that I print out, so
I love
I
it.
cherish
Yeah.
them.
Oh, that's so good. Um, but I harness this same knowledge of building Unbreakable. I've been thinking a lot, and listen, I'm not a big literary poet, but there is a poem that has to do with longevity that I refer to all the time, and it's Dylan Thomas's poem about his father dying, and there's a line in there that says, "Rage, rage against the dying of the light." And while to me that doesn't mean that I'm denying death happens, that I think that we're going to live forever in a longevity stance, I'm not the cryopreserved chick, like freeze your body and live forever, not me. But what it means is, uh, I don't think we have to be the victims of the passage of time. I
Mm.
think we can work and do and decide to live
Yeah.
better. I mean, and for
I love
me, that's raging against the dying of the light,
Mm.
you
And
know?
when you say the light too, that makes me think our inner light because I feel that we lose our inner light before we
Mm,
lose our physical light
yeah,
or maybe they happen at the same time. And when we
yeah,
lose our inner light, our zest for
yeah.
life, believing that the best is yet to come, then we don't believe that we should move our bodies or eat
Like, what's
well because what's
the
the point?
point? Yeah,
Yes.
what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, in all those ways. And so I'm glad that your initial browse of this book has um, made you feel like there's hope in longevity. Or I don't want to put words in your mouth, but,
Go ahead. Yes. I
yeah,
know there is. I know
yeah,
there is. As we as midlife women who have done things in our lives and are now really you always me
yeah.
newer to the conversation, although I feel like OG 5 years now. Does that
I know,
qualify?
5 years. We're OGs.
We're
I mean,
OG.
listen, we were here when we began talking
I
about
know.
this. Yeah,
But it's just I know the best is yet to come because it's over the last
yeah,
5 years my
yeah,
life has improved in so many ways. As our children age,
yeah,
I'm not as fortunate as you to have grandchildren yet, but I'm so excited about that and who we can be and lifting them up and
yeah,
playing and not watching from the sidelines if you can't.
yeah,
Everybody has a different journey,
yeah,
but so I love it. I just think it's exciting. So I have to ask you though, I know we've talked about this before, but unbreakable.
yeah.
What do you mean by unbreakable?
So I think this title serves a lot of purposes. At the very superficial level, listen. I'm an orthopedic surgeon and I don't want you to break one of these, right? I
Right.
who else is going to pull out a bone? Or listen, look at this, my friend. Look at
What,
this.
what is
The
that? Oh,
pelvis.
the whole
Ah, the
pelvis.
whole
Yep.
pelvis.
Let's up level from
I
one bone to
know.
the whole
It's the
pelvis.
whole
Right.
pelvis. So at a very superficial level, I'm like, oh, how do we not become breakable and end up in the ER? And there is some of that. But Unbreakable is becoming so knowledgeable about what is going on in our bodies at this time
Mm.
that knowledge is power. If you know, then you can get in front of it. If you know, then you're not caught off guard. If you know, you can make better decisions. So that's one tenet of being unbreakable. And we do that. We teach you the science and we help you self-assess.
Right.
And then being unbreakable is from a bio bioresilience. How do we build a better physical plant here? How do we build as strong as we can? So because you know what, physics and the hallmarks of aging, there are changes across the time span, but how we experience those changes are really dependent on the energy and time and decisions we make
Mm.
in terms of how to build a physical body. So I once again use the framework that I've used for many years on the exercise portion of this book, Face Your Future.
Right.
F is flexibility and joint motion.
Right.
You've got it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A is aerobic. I teach you a different way to do it than we've always done it. C, carry a load. I teach you my way to do it. And then E, equilibrium and foot speed. I literally use the same protocols to teach you what we use in our elite athletes here at the Lake
Right.
Nona Performance Club to teach us to move fast again so we don't trip over our work
Oh my
bag
gosh.
or off the curb
That is
and break something.
huge. Yeah,
It's
I'm a
so
tripper.
huge.
We're gonna
Yeah.
go deep into these.
Oh,
Okay,
good.
so hold on. Okay,
Okay,
hold because
so that's physical,
right.
but this book also contains at least two chapters, probably more, on the mental side of it.
Yeah.
From the simple point of how do we goal set? What do you want? What do you value? How do your values relate to your goals?
Yeah.
Where are you now? Where do you want to go? Because if you don't know those things, it's just random, right? It's
Right. You
random.
don't know
If
why
you
we're
don't,
doing what we're doing. And
right,
you know, mindset is my jam for midlife for sure,
right.
because that speaks to the whole light thing. If we don't believe that aging is a positive
Yeah.
thing, then we're just
What's
not
the
going to do the things.
point?
So yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
Keep going back to what's the
What's the
point,
point?
right? What's the point? What's the point?
And then
Okay.
we dig deeper on
Yes.
mindset in further chapters of the book and talk about how to build hardiness. I love to explore the difference between in resilience conversations between grit and
Mm.
hardiness and how they're different and how you can really build hardiness like a muscle, which growing old is not for sissies, people. It takes a certain modicum of hardiness to get
Yeah,
through this.
a good word.
And yeah, so yeah, that's what unbreakable means to
That's what
me.
unbreakable means. I love
Body,
it. And
mind, spirit.
there are some conversations on the interwebs
Uh-huh.
about women in menopause, midlife. We're not broken, and that's not. You're not talking about
I'm
that.
not talking about
We're
that.
not talking about that. So I don't know if you have a
Well,
comment
I
about that.
do have a comment on that because I don't approach this from being broken, and I don't think menopause is a disease. Menopause, the menolescence, the transition from I use these words. You've probably
I
heard me
know.
use these
I was going
before.
to ask you that next.
Yeah,
Talk about mental lessons, but keep going. All right,
menolescence.
we're going to wrap this into the we're not broken
Yeah, so I
conversation.
think of this time of life, menolescence, analogous to adolescence, right? We come into our hormones and then we exit our natural hormones as psychological, biological, sociological, it
Mm-hmm.
matters our community,
Mm-hmm.
and hormonal. It's this
Mm-hmm.
whole thing, right? And I even forgot the question because I'm so into my
No, just
into
keep
my
going. Riff. You're
yeah,
getting there. You're there.
yeah. And so I
About
frame
just
I
about
frame
brokenness. We're
oh,
not coming from
broken.
a place
Yes.
of
Listen,
women in menopause or
we are
broken.
not broken. Yeah. this is a transition that we need to pay attention to, not because it's a disease, not because it's shameful, not because we're broken. But I'm going to tell you for sure, my friend, I may have discussed this with you before. When I put something out, or I put, heavens to Betsy, Mel Robbins and I, without even knowing it, we started the push-up challenge. We didn't
I
mean to, but we just did. And even Michelle Obama got involved. Like, what an honor that was. But
I
I
know, and
know,
it was great.
it
And
was
then some people
great.
started,
I
it's the
know.
usual,
And
something
that's what,
amazing, and then here comes the wood
but
choppers. So,
I want to address that
okay, go.
because about 90% of people are like, yes, I'm going to try this. I can only do one. I can't do any, but it's an opportunity to be strong, right? There are always a segment of people who decide that anything except a pat on the shoulder is shaming women,
Mm, mm,
telling us something's wrong. Oh,
mm,
you can't do 11 push-ups? Well, then you're bad. That's
mhm.
not what anybody said.
No.
So, or shaming, or what was it? Being divisive, dividing people, or fear mong. I mean, all these negativity. And you know
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
I feel like that reflects how the woman is feeling about
Of course.
themselves.
It is, right?
Yeah.
It's confronting, and we're not saying this in a judgmental way. This is
Mm,
human nature.
yeah.
When we see something in front of us that maybe we aspire to or are afraid of,
Hmm.
we have a choice. We can embrace it and see it as a process that we
Yes.
can build up to,
Hmm.
or we can choose it as a way to almost diminish ourselves.
Hmm.
And so I know this about you. That's why I really wanted
Yeah.
to talk about this, because I know everything you share comes not only from science as a doctor,
Yeah.
as a practicing doctor. Just coming
Yes.
out. I hope you don't have blood on your
I don't.
scrubs there.
No, no, I'm an
Did you wash your hands?
arthroscopist.
Yeah.
I did. I'm an
Okay.
arthroscopist. There's no blood
Okay.
involved. Yeah.
Thank you. Um, Coming from that place, never from a place of wanting to make any person, let alone a midlife woman, feel bad
Yeah.
about herself. More like, look at, let's do this. If you do one, get on your knees. Because also the clip that started spinning
Yeah.
around, it was only that little teeny part when,
All right.
she says,
It was
can
five
you be on your
seconds.
knees? And you said no. And then that was it. Not
Yeah.
the whole rest of it. We start
Yes.
where you are, and
That's
that kind
right.
of thing. Yeah.
You're so right about that. And I think, I mean, and this is the interesting thing about the internet. If people are here with you and I every day, we pop up on their algorithm because they're listening to what we say, then they would know our hearts. They would know I'll talk about myself. They would know my heart. I think it is the danger of occasionally being dropped into my world. And if they hear me only say that, they don't know my heart. They don't know I was a cancer nurse. They don't know that I don't actually care whether you can do 11 push-ups or not. What I care is that you don't give up on yourself and become a victim of time,
Mm,
right? And
mm,
so I'm trying to pivot the whole mindset people have about what the
yeah.
future is, right? We can't coast on our youth. We weren't designed to coast on our
Right.
youth. And yet sometimes that's the attitude that
Yeah.
happens.
And it's okay, right? We're all on a spectrum on this journey. Some, like you and I are outliers.
Yeah.
We're like, what do we need to do? Okay, what's
Yeah.
that? And other people are like, whoa, this is a lot. And especially with Instagram or other
Yeah.
platforms, because we start to just get fed what we want to know, and we hear it all the time. It can be very, very overwhelming to the point where,
Yeah.
like, I'm tired of hearing this.
Yeah.
So I'm glad. I wanted just to give some pixie dust to your thoughts about we're not broken. And
Oh,
here's an opportunity, though,
yeah.
to not break our bones or break our
Yeah.
pelvis.
We're
So,
not broken, but we could be physically
right,
if we're not
exactly.
careful and
And,
invest in ourselves. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
Vonda, I don't know if you know, I turned 60 this year, and just,
That's so nice.
I'm still getting used to it, just to be honest. So I
You
keep
know
saying
what?
it out loud. People are probably like,
I
why does
know.
she keep saying that? So I can get used to it. Thank you for going on
Yeah,
this
yeah.
journey with
I
me.
do the same thing. If you needed some support, I do the same thing. In fact, I say I'm a year older than I
Yeah.
actually am
I
So I'm
kind of
pretty
did that
used.
too until I
I'm
got to
used to it.
60.
Yeah.
Now I'm
So
like
I'm used to it.
59 and 999.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. No, I embrace it ish
Yeah.
mostly. I'm grateful for it, put
Yeah.
it that
That's
way.
good.
But, I just noticed that my annual appointments, the markers change for 60, not mine. I'm grateful,
Oh,
but 60 is when things start to really kick in for us in
yeah.
terms of aging.
Yeah.
So doing and following what you're saying, reading Unbreakable. I hate it that it always shows backwards, but hold your book up because
Oh,
yours the cute one. Keep it handy. There you go. There you
there
go.
it is.
Not in front of your
There
face.
we go. Unbreakable. And we're in
um,
pre-order. I'll do the full on. We're in pre-order.
okay,
If you order right now,
pre-order.
you get some chapters. Isn't that cool?
And you
Yeah.
want the
If you order now.
chapters. You don't want to wait. So
Yeah.
pre-order on Amazon. We're going to be sharing the link to everywhere. But
On
um,
Amazon has it, but you know what I would really love,
oh,
Julie?
what do you want?
If people, and I'm going to start publishing these places' names. I would really love it if all of our ingenious women would search out their local indie bookstore, especially if it's owned by a woman purveyor. Wouldn't that be
Shout
great?
out for
Yeah.
that. We need to
So
come
you
up
can
with a
find it. We can find a list of those. I have a list. I just haven't started talking about it on the internet yet.
okay, share it, and then we'll share it. We'll put it in our newsletter because
Oh,
you know me, I'm all about women entrepreneurs. So heck yeah, let's do that. Don't buy it
okay.
on Amazon. Just kidding. Do whatever.
Well, you
I get it
can,
as fast
but
as you
get it
can.
wherever you can. However, yeah.
Buy two. Buy one for yourself, one for a friend.
Hmm.
But what I was saying is that especially as we age, we have to follow. We have to do things differently, and we
Yeah.
have to be proactive. So, speaking of that, I have my notes out here because I don't want to forget. Time bombs of aging.
I know. So
Okay.
aging is the most natural thing we do from conception to death. We're aging. And there are certain cellular processes that go on, like there's one in the book called senescence and inflammaging and mitochondrial dysfunction and gut malabsorption and just I cover 6 of them. Those happen due to natural metabolic processes. However, we can change how we age and how our body responds by the lifestyle choices we make. So I explain all that science in this book. I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to read it.
I made
Yes,
my own book. I started cutting out pieces from mine.
that's
It's like
great.
a little cheat sheet,
It's a
like a
cheat sheet.
cheat sheet.
Yeah,
Okay, time
yeah.
bombs. Here you have nutrition, food and supplements, lifting, zone 2, max effort, sit, HRT and sleep. And then you have the chart of the importance of where all of these things are. So let's go to the top. I don't want to cheat anybody because this is good stuff, but they're going
Yep.
to get all the detail in the book. But
Mhm.
let's just start time bomb. You list number 1. Not necessarily in this order, I'm guessing, but maybe let me know.
What are the time
Nutrition.
bombs? Is
Yes,
that what
time
you're
bomb.
asking me?
Nutrition, food, and supplements.
Well, so when I talk about the time bombs and the chart you're holding up, it takes the individual time bombs, like DNA changes and damage. That's one of them.
Okay, so
And then,
nutrition isn't the time bombs.
no, it's how does nutrition
Impact.
affect DNA change and damage? Well, for instance, broccoli is just not green leafy fiber. It contains all kind of phytochemicals that change the way your DNA is expressed, right?
Okay. So
So it
wait,
gives,
so I'm reading this. I didn't say those are the time bombs actually are DNA changes and damage, right?
yes,
Epigenetics.
yes,
Inflammaging,
yes,
mitochondria
that,
dysfunction.
that's right.
Here's that word. Senescent.
Senescence, yes.
Senescence. Fuel
Fuel
gauge
gauge malfunction.
malfunction, and then
Yeah,
stem cell exhaustion and rejuvenation. Those are the
those are the
time
time
bombs of
bombs.
aging.
But the
Okay,
shields,
the
because
shields.
I've got a solution for people. If you think of those as the time bombs going off, well, you have to hold up a shield. You have
Mm-hmm.
to protect yourself. The protections are those things that you listed. How do we protect our sleep? What is socialization? What do we do for lifting? How do we think about nutrition and supplementation? And then we explain and we summarize it in that table. Well, nutrition is not just about calories. It's about DNA. It's about inflammaging. It's about senescent cell load, and how these things are related. Because what I was trying to do is recognize that the women we serve are smart,
Mm.
and they're going to be more motivated if they know the why.
Yeah, for sure.
If we're next time we're all standing around together and we're deciding what to eat, and we're going to say, well, that's going to build my senescent cell load, isn't it?
You're like, okay,
I
yeah,
would
did you
love
have your
that.
senescence booster today?
Yeah. Did you eat the strawberries for your senescent cells? Or
AKA
yeah,
fiber. Hello.
fiber.
Phytoestrogens.
Fiber is
Yes.
so important, especially for things like the fuel gauge, the GI tract, which doesn't absorb as well as it historically did, blah blah blah.
Right.
So that's how I've tried to relate the
Mm.
science to the lifestyle uh, for people.
Well, and I love that you bring lifestyle into this because so much of the menopausal peri to post
Hmm.
conversation is around hormone therapy, which
Hmm.
I personally was not comfortable with for the first 9 years for various
Hmm.
reasons, mostly because my mom told me not to. And
Yeah.
then as I educated myself, I decided it was for
Yeah.
me. So being on it for almost a year now,
Yeah.
I'm very happy with my
Yeah.
choice. But lifestyle is what we do all the time. It's kind of like
Right.
working out is our good hour for the day, but the rest of the day is where we add to this. So I love that you find it so important enough to
It is
bring it into the
because my
chat.
my position on I call it hormone optimization therapy, hot,
Hmm.
is everybody gets to choose, just like you got to choose. You get
Yeah.
to choose timing and when, as long as we do it based on science, not fear. That's
Mm.
the only requisite, right?
Mm.
But that is not it, ladies. If we think we're going to do one thing, which is put on your transdermal patch and everything's going to be peachy for 50 more years, I got another story to tell you. It's our lifestyles that really work hand in hand
Yeah.
with our hormone decision to shape our future. And that's why I call all those things the time bombs. But I'm glad you identified where this book picks up, because we have a lot of good menopause books now, right? All of our friends have written amazing books.
Yeah.
And by and large, those books are so deep into the hormones and the biology of no more eggs. There's one chapter on lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have flipped that conversation so that Unbreakable is okay, now what?
Mm-hmm.
What for the rest 50 years of our lives? How do we turn our already winning story of longevity? Women win at the longevity race, but we suffer longer. How do we
Yes.
flip that?
We live longer, but
We
not well.
suffer longer. Yes. And so this book has 13 chapters on the what next and one chapter on menopause versus 13 chapters on menopause and one on lifestyle. So for people who have educated themselves on midlife, this is the perfect what's next.
I love it. It's complementary to the
Mhm.
midlife library.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's not at all competitive.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no. And none of them are, right? Because we all need to hear these things from all the points of view
Different
so we can
perspective.
find ourselves in one of
Mhm.
them. So I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, can we just go back to exactly what um, senescence is? I know you said
Yes,
zombie cells
it
because
is.
that's a time bomb that somehow I understand DNA changes, inflammaging, mitochondria, okay, and but senescence. I can barely even say it. What is that?
Exactly. So in our bodies, our cell, we have different maturations of cells. Here's how we say it: the life cycle of a cell, right? If we think of
Okay.
a life cycle of a human, we have baby, teenager, whatever. The life cycle of a cell, we start out as pluripotent stem cells, meaning these stem cells can become anything under the right stimulation.
Mm.
And when they're stimulated by environment and growth factors, they'll become mature cells, let's say mature muscle cells. And they will churn on and on and on, doing their jobs, metabolizing, secreting hormones. And in doing so, they sustain some damage. It's like wear and tear on your body. You
Mm.
sustain some damage. And when you're damaged enough, that's when your genes will turn on the cell, that's when your body will turn on the genes for something called programmed cell death.
Mm.
That is normal. Stem cell, mature cell, programmed to die. There is a group of cells in the middle, the senescent cells. They're neither living nor dying. They're just so damaged, like zombies, they do not die. They just wander around the body, circulating, secreting all these noxious cytokines that can
Ooh.
lead to inflammation and cancer. So, our job by implementing the lifestyle and nutrition shields is to minimize their number so they don't hurt us.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
Absolutely. And that's different than, or what is the impact one greater than the other about mitochondria dysfunction? And maybe we need to give a quick definition of
Yeah,
mitochondria.
mitochondria. If you think of where in my body does my ultimate energy come from um in a really cellular level? Well, all little parts of our bodies have jobs, and mitochondria. I was looking for a picture. I'm geeky
I
enough
was
to have
going to say, do
pictures
you
of these
have
things.
a
I
little
do.
stuffed mitochondria
Actually,
somewhere?
not in this office, but think of them as a little kidney-shaped organelle. They're smaller than a cell. They live in a cell. But what they do is take the energy your body gives them in the form of amino acids, fatty acids, glucose, and within the factory of the mitochondria, we turn those into the very basic uh, uh, energy of the body called ATP. And for any of you who did get some kind of science degree, it's the
The
Krebs cycle.
powerhouse
Yeah,
of the
it's the
cell.
Krebs cycle. Uh,
Okay, Chris.
Powerhouse of the cell. So mitochondria, when they're working so hard, can also become damaged.
Mm,
Uh,
hmm.
and they have declines in how they can replicate themselves, declines uh, in how efficient they are at turning food into energy. Um, and here's the thing, one of the natural byproducts of normal metabolism are these waste products called reactive oxygen species. They're not good because they're like toxic waste.
Mm,
It's like sludge.
mm,
So the mitochondria can get so damaged that it can't clear those harmful chemicals, and then it kills the mitochondria, which we don't want, or causes it not to function. So that's happening all the time. The good news is that our lifestyle, particularly intense exercise, can modify how healthy our mitochondria are. You
mm,
know, it's a little aside. This is not only true for adults, but I don't talk about this much, but I am also incredibly concerned about the health of our children and the sedentary nature, because how much our kids run around as children affects how many healthy mitochondria they make in youth.
wow. Do
It's a
we,
it's a
can we,
lifetime effect.
do we continue to make more mitochondria, or do we have a certain amount, kind of like eggs, like you get this amount
Yeah,
and then
and you
you
get the
start to
most.
lose them?
You can continue to make them, but your initial load of them is so critical to your lifetime health,
Mm,
right? And
mm,
so that's why sedentary living, being metabolically unhealthy as a child is not just a childhood thing. It sets you up for
mm.
life. So I
Super
know it's all
important.
things. Hmm.
Good to know as some of us become
I know,
grandparents.
right? Yeah.
Start early. Okay, so you mentioned intense exercise, because one of the shields for the time bombs is, I know you always talk about lifting and you get a little pushback on your mamsy pamsy weights. Do you want to
I
talk?
do.
I'm giving
I
you like all
do.
these opportunities to respond to your
Okay,
Vonda. Like,
listen, bro, people who criticize me. Stop listening to 60 seconds of my conversation because, frankly, I've got about 20
I
hours
was
of
gonna say,
full-on explanation in podcasts that on Spotify. Look up my playlist if you want the full Monty. However, here's the point that if you cannot listen to 20 hours of me, God bless you. I never say get off the couch and go start lifting the heaviest weights you can and just start. I never say that.
Yeah.
We must work up. In fact, I've written 5 other books
I know. I
that
don't think
have
people
their,
know about all your other books
yeah,
about
that
that.
start you off the couch. They are couch to functional, move your body, use free weights. That is always my approach. It may take you 6 months or a year or more to get up to being even used to doing what I'm asking you to do to build strength and power. So don't, okay, people, do not ever comment to me again that I'm expecting you to get off the couch and do 4 reps, 4 sets. No,
Right.
work up to it, but that's ultimately our goal, to
Yes.
lift to failure for strength and power. Now, sometimes people want to know, but what about 10 to 15 reps? Well, what's your goal? If your goal is hypertrophy, meaning giant biceps, okay, do that because that will build physical volume of muscle.
Mhm.
What I am trying to help people with is getting up off the floor, not tripping, not being one of the 2/3 of all nursing home livers who are women because they can't take care of themselves.
Right.
We need strength and power. We get that by lifting to failure,
Mhm.
which is higher weights.
Right. So go on the journey. I saw, this is a good thing about social media. I saw a good clip the other day about how we can carry easily, 20, 30 pounds of groceries. Women, I do it
Oh, yeah.
myself. We're
I
carrying the
do it
groceries,
myself.
right?
Hmm.
We're picking up our grandkids 30, 40 pounds, but we say, okay, now we're going to go to the gym and we're going to
10
pick up some dumbbells and go,
pounds.
ah,
I know, literally. I mean,
because
we're lifting
that's the
suitcases
mindset
and
piece.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is. We're lifting suitcases. We're lifting little people. However, if you cannot and if you have to always depend on the guy sitting in the seat in front of you
Boo.
to help you put your suitcase up, I mean, that's a choice. You can do that. I prefer not to have the perfect stranger who I have to side eye all night to lift my friggin'
Or
suitcase.
if he thinks, oh, do you want me to do that for you?
Yeah.
No.
No,
Or,
I'm
the other
good.
thing is, yes, absolutely, go for it, but know that I could do it 5 times
Right.
myself. Like, that's
I
the,
mean, yes. Sometimes I
because we
do
need to
just
receive. We need to receive, Vonda. We need to
we
receive
need to
equally,
take
right?
help, yes. And believe me, I have. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, chivalry's not dead. He's
Right.
going to
Thank
help
you.
me.
Do you want me to get yours?
Yeah. Oh, I should say that next time. I'm like, yeah. And then I'll lift yours up.
Yours. You're like, oh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Here's the thing, zone two and hit. Actually, we just published a blog and I reviewed it and I'm like, oh shoot, we're not saying yes enough to hit exercise because I think we swung so far, like just weight, resistance training, weightlifting, no cardio because it creates stress in the body,
Mm.
that we went too far as usual, and we forget about heart health and we
Yeah.
forget about the benefits of hit training, but we don't need to do it the way we used to do it, right? And not just zone two all the time. So can you clear that up?
And you know what? People are confused by uh, low heart rate, HIIT, and SIT, right?
Yeah.
And then VO2 max cardio training. So I'm just
Okay.
going to lay it out.
Okay.
And what I prescribe in Unbreakable. We should be moving around all day. In fact, if you and I were together, we'd probably be talking and walking or,
We'd be at
you know,
Lake Nona Performance Center walking
that's
around,
right. We'd be walking
which is
around having
phenomenal.
this conversation. So that is baseline training, low heart rate, a lot of it, everything counts. Me walking up the hallways in the hospital counts. Walking on a treadmill purposely for 2 more miles a day counts every day. That's what we need to do. Lowish heart rate, 130 or something is mine, 181 minus your age,
Mhm.
right? That's baseline, non-negotiable. Then when people sometimes think of HIIT, they think of Orange Theory, or working at 70% of your heart rate. So you're breathing hard, but you're not gassed. We are not going to failure. Fine. I'd rather you do that than do nothing. But if we really want the effects of recomposition, of our body knowing that we're alive enough to be strategically stressed, what I prescribe people to do is twice a week after they're walking, when you're good and warmed up, we are going to sprint as hard as we can. Now, listen, it doesn't mean you have to run on a track or a treadmill. Any apparatus or way, could be boxing for all I care, as long as your heart rate gets up to the maximum.
Yeah.
So for me, that's about 186. Keep it up and high for 30 seconds. And then you completely recover for a couple minutes. And then you do that 4 times. That is so stressful. That is going to teach your body that you're not dead, that you have to become more efficient, that you have to, it's going to stimulate you to burn more fat. But it is so infrequent that we have enough recovery time.
Because
It's
recovery
only twice a
is
week.
huge. Right.
Yeah, because if you did that every single day, you would get hurt.
Yeah.
Or be, yeah. So we have so much recovery time. So that's base training, which is what I call zone 2. Then HIT is this everyday thing at about 60 to 70%, not low, not high. That happens out here on our indoor football field. And people are sweating away, but they're not really seeing any changes because it's not little enough to be baseline and it's not intense enough to change your body.
Right.
And then the fourth kind that we talk about in the performance chapters of this book, after you've got all the basics down, is adding on one specific kind of training for something called VO2 max. So for people who've never heard of that, VO2 max is a measure of your ultimate fitness. It is how fit you are cardiovascularly. And it matters in life. It matters to pro athletes, but it matters in life for mere mortals because there is a line called the fragility line. And it is a measure of your VO2 max. The number for men and women is 15 and 18, the fragility line. But basically what it means, if you are so unfit that your VO2 max is that low number, you cannot get up from a chair by yourself.
Yeah.
Which means you can't go to the bathroom by yourself, which means you're probably not living with yourself, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the fragile line none of us want to cross.
No.
So VO2 max declines, if you do nothing, declines 10% per decade.
Wow. That's a good
Yes,
jump.
per decade. So can we rebuild it? Yes, we can. And it takes a VO2 max training we describe, but it's only once a week in the book. But you just can't ignore your heart and lungs, but you just can't only do your heart and lungs. That's the real point.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
We have to do all those things. Okay, you said one thing just a minute ago that triggered me a little bit, so I have to go back to it. About max heart rate. Did you say 180? Did I make that?
Mine is 186, but everybody,
When
well, it
I
used to be
get to
203 or something. It used to be high because I was an athlete, but I'm older now. It's 186. But
that's still, when I get to the 160s, I start to think my heart's going to
well,
explode.
maybe, and you know what? Well, if you, I mean, this calculation's not really
tell
that
the
good,
truth.
but
Yeah.
220 minus your age is an estimation
Right.
of maximum heart rate. Well, so 160, okay. But
But
everyone's
there's
is
some room in
different.
there.
Like, I'm not a pro athlete. There are probably pro athletes who have a much better maximum heart rate.
Well, I'm
So
impressed.
that's why. Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, the feeling I get, I'm not working towards that heart rate on the treadmill, but when I am going so fast that I think I'm going to fly off the back or throw up, frankly,
Yes.
I look at my heart rate and it's like 186. So that's the only reason I know that.
That's because that, yes. Okay. I hear you. But it's good to know because also that goes back to mindset about, even lifting heavier weights. We think we have this invisible ceiling. And
Yeah.
there's a great book called The Big Leap, and it talks about our upper limit. We just have these ideas
Yeah.
and that obviously in my brain, like 160 is like, whoa, careful, careful. But you just opened up my upper ceiling. So I know that I can work. I won't be able to get there tomorrow, but I don't have to be afraid of working towards that. Um,
Well, and I want to, for everyone sitting out there thinking, oh my God, what is she talking about? I walk up the stairs and I'm gassed. Well, okay, that's okay. Then if that's you, the goal might be walking around the high school track in your town on the flat.
yeah,
And then when you're comfortable doing that twice in a row, start walking up the stadium stairs.
yes,
And you're going to be gassed at the top and your heart rate's going to be pounding.
right.
But the more you do that, pretty soon you're going to be chugging up the stairs.
Every time the
And then in six
body
months, you're going to
adjusts.
be,
Yes.
yeah. So I don't want anybody to be discouraged by this whole run on a treadmill, punch
Yeah.
up to 186. Your body's going to respond no matter where you start, if you start, if you
If you
start.
start.
Hmm.
And pro tip, your heart rate goes up when you lift heavier weights.
It does. It does.
It
I'm a
really,
little
I
breathless
pushed
when you
up a
do
little
it.
bit yesterday, and at the afterward, I'm like, I feel a little nauseous today, and
Ah,
I'm like, okay, that's not bad.
yeah,
You're
you're
okay. You're
working
okay,
hard.
Julie.
Yeah, you're working hard. And you know what, other from a mindset perspective, I feel the same way when I lift heavy or I sprint. I do a sprint. I get off whatever I'm doing. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
badass. How's that? It
Oh,
gives
there's
you
that
this sort of
bad stomach feeling, which AKA badass. Okay,
badass.
good.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
my
this,
God.
wow, I really did something hard just then.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Really good. So good. Well, everyone can see why they need to get their pre-order in
Please
for
do.
Unbreakable.
Yes.
And you get some free chapters. What chapters are you telling people? What do they get?
You know what? We're trying to set you up because we're going to do a challenge in 6 weeks. So we're trying to set you up to ease into this book. So we're going to give you the whole introduction and I think chapter one, because the whole introduction really sets the stage. I mean, I
Yeah.
tell stories, I tell my stories, I tell
Yeah.
you the story of a woman named Eva who just thought all was lost. And so I think that that is another thing this book does is it really shines a light on the stories and pathways of women. And I frankly
Mm-hmm.
wish I've told more stories in here
Mm,
because there are other books that address longevity, but none from the point of view as from a woman.
right. And
And I think
we
that's
are
what we
different.
deserve.
We are
Hmm.
different. No,
Yeah.
I love it. And I love that you got, it's sciencey. Some people are like, no,
Mhm.
it's science explained in a way
It's
that you can receive
approachable.
and
Yeah.
understand, approachable. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Okay, I would keep you all day, but I only have one question. I
Okay.
have 50 questions, but I know you
Okay.
probably have to go save
I have a
someone's
one
life.
o'clock meeting.
Okay.
I
Okay.
have an.
You are a mom.
Mm,
You have two daughters.
hmm.
I have one daughter.
Hmm.
What do you want our daughters to know so they can be unbreakable, Vonda?
Oh, I love that. You know what? It is my goal. So I'm going to go back to my parents. My parents raised me to believe by telling me and by facilitating in the best way they could, Vonda, you can be anything you want to be. And I always thought that. I'm like, okay, why not an orthopod? Like, I'm going, whatever. I never thought there was a limitation, but what they didn't know and didn't understand that I could be everything. But the world was not ready for me or women in our generation to be everything equally,
Hmm.
whether it's equal pay, equal health, equal research about us, equal books and resources. We can do anything, but not
Hmm.
equally. It is my goal, and I'm about to cry. I don't know why. Goal and passion in life that my daughters, my two daughters, and my current two daughters-in-law
Hmm.
can have everything equally. And
Hmm.
as it pertains to their health, that they will know so much about what happens as we're entering our perimenopause years. What decisions do we have to make? Where do we find it? How can we build an unbreakable future that they are not slammed into a brick wall like I was and like so many of our peers were, because we're like, what the F just happened to me or is happening to me?
Right.
I don't even recognize myself.
Right.
So it is my dream and wish that Isabella Wright, Corey DiLucente, my daughter, Lauren Taglianetti, and Kayla Taglianetti, my daughters-in-law, are never gonna experience what we went through.
Mm. I'm going to throw
That
my
was the
Georgia
goal.
White in there too.
That's
Yes.
right. Yes,
Yes.
that's right. Mm-hmm.
I love that so much. It's so important. That's why we're talking more and more about perimenopause. As these young women go through their journey of life and
Mm-hmm.
see menopause, perimenopause in their horizon,
Mm-hmm.
because of women like you, doctors like you,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to have a different experience. They're going to be informed. They're
Mm-hmm.
not going to be afraid.
Right.
So
Right. We're gonna.
important. And they'll have each other
Yeah.
because they're not afraid to talk about it.
Yes. I hope that happens. I mean, we're gonna work hard. It's gonna happen. Yeah.
That's our journey because we're past that. We already had to suffer through all things.
Yeah.
So it's our work. It's our work. My dear friend Vonda, I'm so proud of you. I wish I could. This is not your first rodeo as an author, but this might be your best rodeo. I'm just gonna say.
You
Hold
know
your
what? I
book up
believe that.
because
Oh, thank you.
mine is weird.
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable.
Thanks,
Get your
everybody.
pre-order
Pre-order
first
it.
and foremost from a
Yes.
local bookstore, preferably owned by a woman. Love
Yes.
that so much. And if not, you know where to get it.
That's
But
right.
get it.
That's
Get
right.
two. And
Yeah.
I can't wait for the secret challenge coming up in 6
Yeah.
weeks. So
Yeah.
thank you,
Thank
my
you.
friend.
Thank you, my
Okay.
friend. I'll talk to you
To
soon.
be continued.
Bye.
Be well.